basically there hadn't been
I'd like to call to order the City of Urbana Human Rights Commission meeting for Tuesday, August 19, 2025. Tom, could we get a roll call, please?
Shalini Smith.
Here?
Peter Resnick. Vahagan Shiflakan.
Here.
Jerry Fry.
Here.
Charles Davidson. Here. Ann Panthen.
Here. Thank you. Do we have any additions to the agenda? All right. Approval of the minutes of July 15, 2025. We'll need a motion.
I'll put forth that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, public input. Seeing none. Unfinished business. Discussion of the Human Rights Commission membership modification. Carla?
Yeah, if you remember last month at our meeting, I had brought up the idea of understanding what quorum meant for our 9-board member committee. And so I said I would speak with legal and with the county, with the city clerk to get more information because I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page before we did something publicly. And I did meet with them on Friday, and it turns out that we are okay. That in our in the code, city code, it says seated versus member. So as long as we will go on the number seated versus the number of members. And since we currently have 6 seated, 4 is quorum for that.
Right.
If we had the 9 members, 5 would be the quorum. So we're good on that. And so that answers the immediate question that we had brought up last month about quorum. But we did have that discussion about changing the number.
Right.
Or at least requesting a change, a decrease in the number of members needed.
Yes.
And so I would like to revisit that, but once Pete was here, because he had some conversation, he had comments about that, and so I'd like for him to be in that conversation when we
Yes.
have it, so I would like to table this discussion until he's here,
Okay,
so that we can have a more in-depth conversation about that, because there was interest in decreasing the number, but
right.
it would be nice to have everybody and to come to some conclusion that we would take, because we can't change that, but we could take it to the council to
And we
request
said
that.
We can bring it to them for their discussion. So they're the ones that approve that.
Yeah, they will be the ones to make that decision.
Okay.
I would like just like a brief question regarding this. Will it affect the requirement of being physically present in the meetings?
Quorum
quorum.
currently, it would still be either 4 or 5. If we decreased it to a number, say 7, quorum would still be 4, and we would still be required to meet quorum in the room before someone on the phone could participate.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we will put that on the agenda for next month. Do you think that's, I guess, once we find out if Pete will be at the meeting? Yeah. Yeah, I think last month, when we briefly spoke about it, he had some comments about it. Yeah, so you're right. It would be good to have us all here. Okay. Okay. New business, receipt of automatic 2-year EEO certifications.
All right, so the automatic 2-year certifications or recertifications are for the following companies. Barber and DeAtley Incorporated, the Envision Group Incorporated, Specialty Commercial Flooring, Chris and Company Incorporated, and Wingle Construction Incorporated.
Thank you. So those will be automatically approved. Consideration of EEO workforce statistics.
Okay, so I put forth the motion for certification or recertification of the following companies with the listed timeframes. Carl Care Incorporated for 2 years, Carl West Physician Group for 2 years, Deuce Construction Company for 1 year, Farnsworth Group for 2 years, Pipeworks Incorporated for 1 year, the Carl Foundation, doing business as Carl Hospital Foundation for 2 years, and Tyler Technologies for 2 years.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I know I have some questions about the whole Carl Healthcare, Carl West, and Carl Foundation. I'm assuming that Health Alliance leaving this area is one of the reasons that their numbers, Carl's numbers as listed on the form, that they listed, not our. They've lost so many employees, and they've replaced some, but they've lost, I forget, do you remember, Shalini?
It was the Carl West Physician Group specifically. I think it was about like 280, female employees all total, and then they lost over 100. They hired, I think it was like 77 back, but the number just seems a little, I guess, that's a lot of people. If it was one of the like construction companies where they do like seasonal hiring, it'd make more sense, but
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's a reason that they gave for that.
Yeah, it is, I know they have a lot of employees, but losing that many employees is a lot.
Are we talking about Carl West Physician Group?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
you want to go ahead?
I don't believe that Health Alliance numbers are reflected in this. Health Alliance did offer to submit an update, and it was determined that since their contract with the city is ending and they have had repeated 2-year approvals in the past, that they did not need to go through a process for just the brief time that they're going to remain with the city.
Yeah.
And their contract for the remaining months is under the normal threshold for recertification as well.
Okay. I don't know, and I know it isn't really part of our remit here, but I don't know what Carl West and Carl Foundation are supplying to the city and what a contract would be for if it wasn't insurance. But that's not for me to, you know. It's possible that this is just their general renewal and they're doing it anyway, even though I don't know. Okay.
I'm only vaguely familiar with things like the offer, the availability, I want to say, of employee assistance programs.
Yeah,
That is, but that would be typically, I think, through one of the offices. I don't know that for a fact.
yeah, the EAP.
EAP would be through one of these, but I don't know necessarily why all three would be repeatedly requesting recertification. I just don't know the answers, and that maybe that's related to previous insurance or not necessarily. I don't know.
And it might also be that when we pay our insurance bills, that we need to have them certified so that if we pay a bill over
Oh, you mean like
dollars,
a
a
medical?
medical bill, they would be certified.
It could also be workplace injury
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Yeah, now you're on the right track. That
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense to me, too.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments about any of the workforce statistics? Okay. So, all in favor of approving the statistics as submitted?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Sorry. All right, Carla, the officers' report.
Okay. Currently, there are no open formal complaints. For informal contacts, a caller contacted the office because they were being evicted from their home. The caller lived in subsidized housing. We do not have jurisdiction over the subsidized housing, and I referred them to the Housing Authority of Champaign County. Also received a phone message from a case manager inquiring about rental deposits for a client. I returned the call, and neither the case manager nor the client have reached out at this time. Office activity, I volunteered for the United Way repacking diaper event on August 5th. And I just wanted to highlight that registration is open for the 3rd Annual Black Mental Health and Wellness Conference. It will be held on Saturday, September 20th at Parkland College. I emailed the link to everyone on yesterday, so you will find that information. When you click on the link, there's also information about what the actual conference is about. Also, the Illinois Commission on Discrimination and Hate Crimes, in partnership with the City of Champaign, the City of Urbana, and the Illinois Department of Human Rights, is hosting the 2025 Illinois Together Against Hate Conference on October 21, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the iHotel in Champaign. Making note that both of these events are free, and they are strongly encouraging members of human rights commissions to attend, because they will have a track on human rights commissions and boards specifically. Moments in human rights history. On this day, August 19th, 1791, Benjamin Binneker, a free African-American mathematician, astronomer, and author, sends a copy of his almanac and writes a letter to Thomas Jefferson criticizing his pro-slavery stance and requesting justice for African Americans using language from the Declaration of Independence. A year later, Banneker published his correspondence between himself and Jefferson in his next almanac. In 1864, second day of battle at Globe Tavern, Virginia, during the Civil War. Union forces attempt to destroy Weldon Railroad Confederate supply route. They were successful 2 days later on August 21st. 1954, Ralph Bunche, who 4 years earlier had been the first Black American to win a Nobel Peace Prize, becomes Undersecretary of the United Nations. 1955, WINS Radio in New York City announces it will no longer play white cover versions of R&B records, opting instead to play Fats Domino's Ain't That a Shame rather than Pat Boone's. 1958, the NAACP Youth Council begins a sit-in at a whites-only lunch counter at Katz Drug Store in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We have a description on video.
Basically, there hadn't been, for the most part, any sit-ins even around the country prior to us sitting in. We sat in 2 years prior to Greensboro, North Carolina. So the whole idea of sitting in was a new concept, but we were taught the concepts of nonviolence by Dr. King and by Gandhi as a part of our just learning as a part of the NAACP Youth Council. When you think about what the NAACP Youth Council stands for, or just the NAACP, it was always around equity and equality. And in our family, we would sit around the table and talk about issues like that. My grandfather had been involved in the Pullman Porter movement. And so we were always taught that you're just as good as anybody, but you're not better than anybody. And so when we came back from New York and there were a group of kids, me included, were having that conversation, then it was not like we were not familiar with the concept of nonviolence. In order to get what needed to be done, meaning to change things, that we had to carry ourselves in a certain kind of way, and we had to present ourselves in a certain kind of way. And it was very important that there be some degree of integrity with ourselves, but also respect for others. And so the day that we went there and was sitting at the lunch counter, we respectfully asked for a hamburger and a Coke. And as I indicated before, the waitresses were not keen on that. And after some degree of frustration, called the manager over and said they're not going to leave, they're not going. And of course, the managers, began to tell us that we had to leave. But we continued to sit there and just continued to ask for the hamburger and a Coke. And then, of course, people started to present their frustrations verbally and saying things that were not nice, that were unkind. And in some cases, people got to be a bit belligerent and disrespectful in terms of wanting to pour coffee or wanting to do things that were just totally unacceptable. It was an interesting experience, but we continued to be steadfast and just sit there until the time came. I think Katz being one of the first, we sat there for 3 days. On the third day is when we asked for the hamburger and a Coke, and they said, okay. I think sometimes it's looking at the way life is flowing. It was just its time. Most of the people that were participating were teenagers, middle schoolers, as we would call them now, 14, 15-year-olds, and then some that were in senior high school. my sister and I being the younger ones, for me, being able to see the progress from 7 to 14 was probably more valuable to me than most, because if you're a high school student getting ready to graduate, or you're a junior in high school, you're getting ready to go off to college. And so you didn't have to walk that journey that I walked. But the more we did it, the more people bought into the process. Like I said, we sat there from the time I was 7, I did, 7 to 14, and you would think, major company, big brand, you know, Midwest lunch counters and drugstores all over the area that people would easily follow, but they did not. And so even though Cat said yes, the other stores in Oklahoma City, it took 7 years for them to, one by one, start to change their mind and find out that it was important to treat people equally.
Thank you, Tom, for that. That's very nice. 1981, President Ronald Reagan nominates Sandra Day O'Connor as the first female justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. 2009, today is World Humanitarian Day. First commemorated in 2009, it came about after Brazilian diplomat Sergio Vieira de Mello and 21 members of his staff died in a hotel bombing in Iraq 6 years earlier. At the time of his death, Vieira de Mello was Undersecretary General of the United Nations, a High Commissioner for Human Rights, and a probable candidate for UN Secretary General. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you very much. As usual, very interesting. I like the video aspect.
So happy Humanitarian Day.
I didn't get you a card, but happy Humanitarian Day. Okay, announcements. This commission has 3 openings. And our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, September 16th at 5:30 p.m. And I would encourage everyone to look at the email that Carlos sent about the, did you send both things? And if you can attend, there's no pay for us, but I think we would learn some things and maybe meet some folks in our same sort of, situation that are on commissions and boards. And it's always good to hang around with people that do the same thing. So I would encourage us to sign up and attend if we can. Are you going, Carla and Tom?
I'm already signed up for the Black Wellness and Health and Wellness Conference. And we're sponsors of the other one, so I'm kind of required to be at that one.
You have to go.
So to answer your question, yes, I will be at both.
Okay.
And I know I'll be at least one of them, the other one I'm still trying to pin down.
Yeah, okay. Well, we will, we can sign up ourselves, is that correct? But we can let you know if we're going. Yeah, okay. All right, well, thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.